when they did a search, the scientists, the geneticists, discovered that there is a mutation, a deletion on the X chromosome, which means that the cells that form the hair, the fur of the cat, the skin of the cat, don't produce the colour to the same extent that you would find in a cat that is brown or is black. And so it's the lack of the ability to produce the pigment, or as deeper colour pigment, that leads to the ginger cat. So now we know it's a genetic mutation. We'd often thought it was, but we now know where it is. We now know that it's a deletion, and we now know what it does in terms of affecting the way that pigments are produced. Now, I particularly like these stories for two reasons. The first one is I enjoy all papers on the colours of animals, and that's partly because I did some research relatively recently with some colleagues that showed that a genetic mutation in a gene called CBD103 causes grey wolves to either be grey, as their name would suggest, or black. Furthermore, we found that the gene didn't just do that, but it was also involved in the ability of the wolves to fight an immune response, mount an immune response against a disease called canine distemper virus, which is essentially measles for carnivores. And what happens is that gene not only influences immunology, but it turns out whether the wolf has a coat that's black in colour or grey in colour. Now, finally, these sex-linked mutations, such as the one found in the ginger cats, I should say the wolf gene colour is not on the sex chromosomes, but mutations on the X chromosome, like that cause the cat to be ginger, can also impact humans. And indeed, I know that I have a mutation on my X chromosome. Being a man, I have one X chromosome that came from my mother, and I have a Y chromosome that came from my father. Women have two X chromosomes, one that came from their father and one that came from their mother. But on the X chromosome that I got from my mother, there's a mutation that also affects coloration, and it affects the coloration in a small patch in the back of my eye called the fovea. And that lack of coloration in just a handful of cells means that my eyes have a wobble. They go backwards and forwards, and it means that I've got pretty hopeless vision. I'm always the designated drinker. I'm not able to drive. And so I'm always fascinated when I come across science stories like the ginger cat that's linked, that has this sex-linked colour pattern on its X chromosome, because it ticks two boxes. It not only explores coloration in animals, but it's also a sex-linked genetic mutation, much like the one that I've got. Thanks for listening.